friends, relationships come and go, people die. It's just the way life works, isn't it? You just lose stuff constantly. This is where I should be living, not them. This was my refuge when things get tough. World War III, I'll be here.
Mr. Rowdy's work has always grabbed me because I've always liked the big crop theme. And the fact that he also paints and incorporates on stones, on rocks, not your normal surfaces that most people relate traditional images of graffiti art, so aerosol art, as being painted on.
So when Rowdy's studio burnt down, he lost his livelihood.
Everything was gone, everything's gone. Papers, just, years of photographs, artwork, livelihood, passport, all of that stuff.
I went out one afternoon for a walk in the countryside and some calls started coming in that the place was on fire. As soon as I got to the place and saw it crawling with police and firemen, I just knew everything was fucked. An open expanse like this would have more of a kind of similarity, I guess, to some of the outback, I think, because it just breaks down to very little that you're sort of actually engaging with, sort of draw or paint, but however it just holds some presence in that landscape. I need to just take some of my own time out in Australia to discover some new areas and find some solitude as well.
He's most famous for his unique take on urban living, playful cartoons that are contemporary and colourful, and he's keen to get back to work.
If I was to live like a nomadic Aboriginal man, I would probably miss having some of the vibrant colours that I use in my palette, whether that's in a spray or an emulsion form, all the sort of acidic green and zingy yellow and really bright orange. Those sort of colours don't seem to sort of be so readily available within that culture, so I would find that tough.
Yeah. So it's an area that they don't have any Indigenous art collectives or anything. Their people are they've been really ripped apart from their culture. A lot of people are stolen generation and stuff like that. So last year we started working on stencils and we did aerosol stuff. These are all like photos from 2 by 1 metre boards. Rock art and the use of ochre goes back 30, possibly 70,000 years, maybe longer. And Australian Indigenous people have been stenciling for at least 10 to 30,000 years.
The ideas came, which is the first, actually through ceremonies, body paintings, and that using the colors. And this is what happened. So yeah, they became an artist then. The artists have their own styles. But these ones.
I mean, graffiti comes from etching into stone. But I think it's very interesting to look at the fact that it's not new, and in fact it's one of the most ancient techniques in the world.
3. The senior artists, all are famous, who gave us the stories, passing on to us, show us, tell us, passing on. Now we're passing on to our children then, or visitors. Yeah. See that coming up?
The reasons I've come on this trip, I like to paint rocks, big boulders, but I also paint a lot of crocodiles, and so it's kind of, so I like to paint them on the streets of London and Bristol, like, and I don't always ask for permission with the council, I just paint them anyway, and occasionally people pay me to do work, but quite often I just work in abandoned buildings and on the streets, but I like to also paint my rocks in the countryside as well. So, but I'd like to use some of the techniques that you guys are using, you know.
Just drag it, you know, put your hand like that and no. Give me your hand.
Yeah.
Hold it like that. See your two hand. Hold it like that and just go.
Okay. So it's trying to get the whole.
Ah, that's better.
Yeah. Okay.
So you wanna learn like so.
Yeah. Yeah, it's unusual. It's a bit like using a roller, I suppose, to draw and paint with. You have to change your technique, and I think I could get used to it. So we're just sort of kind of going to hopefully do some workshops with the local school. Yeah, maybe paint a subway tunnel. Yeah. Sort of one of the reasons they got me to come out here. We thought even with this shape we could do sort of like kind of 2 crocodile jaws and eyes. We look at the books and then we get some paper, we do a little bit of drawing, and then when we've got some ideas that we're interested in painting on, we'll sort of focus on making some artwork as well.
I reckon that'd probably definitely brighten up the town a bit, because during the dry season everything's just dead and no colours anyway, so I reckon definitely brighten up the town.
Give us a thumbs up, mate.
Good fun, I reckon they should have it more often.
I think they'll love it. I actually think it'll be the start of something more to go.
One of the things that has always inspired me about Rowdy's work, for example, is the way in which he's not conforming to a predetermined format of what graph should be. So it is making you uncomfortable. It is hitting you in the face with a character that's, you know, massively larger than life and completely incomprehensible within the framework of what we understand, what we previously understood.
Turntable. It's like real bright. I like it because it just stands out. I think it represents the culture and Kakari.
Yeah. Good fun. Hope you come back next year. And yeah, I'll be down here every day then.
Yeah, I've had a difficult time and I am carrying on, but I think that's where art as therapy provides a necessary resource to kind of keep one sort of ticking along.
new generation now when you see them new artists like this. But like my people, they don't do such a thing like that, you know. Do the art, you know, only they do dot painting and all that thing, you know. And who's that?
Well, yeah. A blue beaver.
Huh?
A beaver?
A beaver, that's right, yeah. Yeah,
Got a big tail behind. Just needs a bit more work.
Yeah, like you've been a cartoonist too.
Yeah, cartoon, really. Yeah.
So where Bart Simpson?
I can't even afford to live in the UK for the last 5 years. I've been squatting houses, so I get quite sort of cross sometimes about the way the land, the space is controlled and what is sacred and what isn't, because you get greenbelt land on the edges. The city is so intensive and so controlled and so speculative over property and its value that sometimes you think, I just want to get the hell out of there and just do something in the middle of nowhere, just to get a flip and a contrast, you know. When I draw or paint, I'm trying to perhaps create a new world or environment because I'm not very satisfied perhaps with the one I'm in, or I'm too used to looking at it, you know.
Street art, graph is about reclaiming public space, remaking it in accordance with a different vision, a different way of thinking, a way of seeing the city.
Just been confronted with Lightning Man was probably the most sort of powerful mural that we saw, and you are also impressed by the environment that it's painted in, you know, just kind of, you know, an entrance to a cave under a cliff face. It's more than the painting, it's the overall space, I guess, that you become enthralled by. To be back in Bristol after some of the problems last year and also since the trip of Australia, I'm possibly a little bit more humbled now than I was before. I'm so involved in the business of putting paint on walls, and anything that's going to sort of speak back to me is obviously going to be of interest and sort of strike some chord, and it did do that. But there's a sort of desire to just embrace new techniques rather than old, you know, and I certainly would be keen to embrace some of the techniques that these guys use in their work into my work, without being too contrived. To sort of actually gain a true understanding proved to be very difficult, and there's only certain elders that can talk to us about that. Cases, the stories are so many thousands of years old that, you know, the truth never be known, and I think that's often the beauty of art, that you know, it's in the eye of the beholder, and we all make our own interpretations of what these pieces mean on an individual level.
Shoveling sack and instead by some bramble scratches, but your heart beats hard and undistracted. For tonight we're gonna lay this all to rest. You can scrub the stain off the seats and the mud from your boots and the sweat from your brow, the blood from your pores, but this thing is gonna haunt us to our death. But we must go to the woods. Go grab a shovel and sack and help me. Go grab a shovel and sack and help me. Go grab a shovel and sack and help me. But we must go to the woods. Go grab a shovel and sack and help me. Go grab a shovel and sack and help me. Go grab a shovel and sack and